Well, it's the 23rd of August 2023 and we're still waiting for the appearance of a good show of dahlia blooms. The wet, cold June after late planting certainly hasn't helped the situation, but they are making noticeable growth now almost on a daily basis. Was on holiday like last week, so been back 3 days now, and certainly I've seen a big difference over since I went away. And I say come in on a morning now and you can almost see the fact they've grown overnight. So it's all really down to that cold, wet July. We had temperatures down to around about 6 degrees overnight in some cases. The giants and the large, which we're looking at now, always take a little bit longer to develop. But there are quite a lot of buds visible, so we've been doing some securing of buds this week, which is really the first week we've done it. There was a few done on the smalls last week. But yeah, they're running late, but certainly looking a lot better than they did a fortnight ago. And it hasn't been just the weather. We've had issues with some pesky rabbits who decided to like those two particular varieties a lot, and kept coming in and digging them up. And although we've got wire mesh around a lot of the nursery, it is quite hard to secure all the perimeters and keep the little so-and-sos out. But fortunately the plants are now growing like fast enough and they're big enough that they're not really disturbing them anymore, thank goodness. And here we've got our main trial plot, so there's not quite as many varieties this year, and some varieties are basically reselected stock of varieties we've maybe had in before. But because these plants were maybe a little bit bigger, there actually is a little bit of colour on these now. So there'll be a bit of a difference by the weekend. There's one or two buds starting to break open, but only on about 8 varieties or so at the minute. So again, there'll be a big difference in around about 10 to 14 days, more like 14 to be honest. But at least the plants themselves are looking okay. Well, what we have noticed is right across the field, the plants are very, very uneven this year, despite the fact they all went in at the same stage. The growth is very, very much up and down. I say putting that down mainly to the cold and wet in July. That block of 20 good strong plants there is Rossendale Donald, which was winner of the trials at Golden Acre Park last year, and that's going to be a new introduction for us when we get sorted out. Catalogue's going to be a little bit later this year, and our website will be a little bit later in going live just because of circumstances over the summer. But we'll get there, so just please be patient with us. Things haven't exactly gone according to plan. But yes, Rossendale Donald there, beautiful bright red miniature deck. Plants are looking really strong, and should actually get a cut off that in about maybe 10 days time, maybe 12 days. There's not far off showing a little bit of colour. And these are just one or two of the other trial varieties we've got going. Some from America. In the case of this one, it's can't remember what colour it's going to turn out to be. I haven't got all the details on the signs yet, but that's 20th Avenue Baker Road. Looking really, really strong and healthy, and the buds is all there on that. And this is the main plot. These have really thickened up even just since Monday. But a lot of variation on height in comparison with last year. I would say the buds is there on plants that are probably about 10 inches shorter than they were last year. Some varieties have come away really well. Others have remained quite low to the ground, not really broken up, because it's not really grown up yet. but they are getting there. It's Gateshead Festival. That does have a habit of sitting down a little bit like that, and then you all of a sudden, when the buds appear, you get a quite quick stem elongation, and the flowers just pop up out the foliage. But yeah, very different growing season to what we've experienced over the last few years, this one. I certainly don't want to repeat it. Now, this was an incident of one variety proving particularly favourable to the small rabbit population, or it might have been the rogue hare that was about. Because this is Susan Gilliot, and I think that got stopped twice, not by us. But they're coming away nice and strong now. What we are noticing as well this year is there's quite a high population of earwigs. So yeah, all in all, a very, very challenging season. Right, we're on a plot with some of the medium Dahlias now. And there's Hillcrest Kismet there. And weirdly, that's about exactly where I would expect it to be. Maybe the bud's a little bit bigger than what they are. And some things you just cannot explain. All the plants were put in at the same stage as what we normally do. But some varieties are just behind. And have really have been affected by the conditions more than others. There's BJ Beauty. Nothing wrong with the plants. They're shorter, and normally I'd expect those two varieties to be roughly the same height. Alloway Cottage. Again, I'd normally expect that to be around about the same height as the Hillcrest Kismet. And they're all on the same watering system. They're all on the same drip line setup. So it's not as if there's been any difference in the way they've been treated or the amount of feed that they've had. And then if we walk further down this bed, because there is actually one of the mediums starting to show a little bit of colour there. That's Andrea Clark. Then we've got a lovely block of Asquith Edna coming away. And then this coming up is Asquith Josephine, but just beyond there, we've got Asquith Mini. We know Asquith Mini is always that little bit earlier, but those plants are absolutely superb. And they were no different to anything else that went in. It's just the way some have adapted or reacted to the conditions that we've had. Well, yeah, really looking forward to seeing that in about 10 days' time. And in front of us now, we've got the pom varieties. Again, they've ended up being quite short and budding up. That's Ivor's Ronda there. Must admit, we struggled to get plants out for planting that because we've been so short of it all season. But we have got some colour coming on. The bedders, as you'd expect, are starting to flower now. And they're all about the stage I would expect them to be, roughly. That's Spanish Conquest there. And that's looking across to some of the miscellaneous varieties. So you've got Totally Tangerine. And then it's always early and gives a fantastic show all season long. That's our one, Hadrian's Midnight. Looking really good. So they'll get there, just a little bit more patience on our part and on everybody's part, because we are getting people coming up and wondering why theirs are out in the garden and ours aren't, and it's the season. Time of planting a little bit, yes, but it was the same stage as we planted the same date roughly as we did last year. But it's that July, cold, wet, miserable. They just never really got a good start. and that's what's really held them back. But let's look on the bright side. It'll be a fantastic show at the end of September. Let's hope anyway.